From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, happy holidays. This is our holiday episode. It's actually going to come out on Christmas Day. So happy holidays. How are you?
Happy holidays, and I'm doing very well. And yourself, Steve?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to get a little
Mm.
bit of a break. And, this time of year is always nice because people are usually in a good mood and we get a little bit of a breather. It's always a time to recharge and before we get into the new year. So I almost reminisce back to time of like having a school break or something like that, which you don't get very often. Almost having a staycation is a nice thing to do. So it's good to have a little time off.
Oh, it's always great to have time off. It's very hard to get that in higher ed sometimes. As I was just talking with a student worker the other day, is the way I sum it up is during the semester, we are in break fix support mode. And then during any breaks, we're in project mode. So we really don't get much downtime.
Absolutely. Well, I can very much relate. And for me, time off doesn't mean not working. It just means not working under pressure.
Yeah.
So I always, and working sometimes is something that I relaxes me. So I don't mind it. It's just not having to be in a typical daily work pace that I want to break from, and having time to do some things that I don't get a chance to do. So I can appreciate that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what we thought would be nice today, for our audience and for you listeners to talk a little bit about the holidays and what are some things that you're hoping for the holidays. What are some things that programmer would want? What's a wish list? What's something that would be a gift for programmers, and trying to be a little creative and think things outside the box and just have a little bit of fun today. So, um, you for me, I think that programmers want to be valued more. I think that that's something that is always the case, and I think that that's one of the reasons why we do this show. And I think there's a great opportunity for programmers to be able to show their value, but there's unfortunately more times than not these days that programmers, I think, are um, getting minimized. So one of the things that I would say would be a gift would be to show your programmer a little bit of appreciation and understand all the things that they do. If I can connect with the other podcast that I do called The State of Control on AV Nation, we just record our 100th episode, and we titled it Unsung Heroes. And that is the way we talked about programmers. So thought that was a little nice thing to say for the holidays. James, any thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's a good one. I definitely think we need to highlight our programmers because, as we always say, we feel like we're on an island. We're that person with the laptop sitting in the corner typing away. So definitely that building that community and putting that spotlight on our programmers and making them feel value and showing that they are a vital member of the team.
Absolutely. The not a lot of times a programmer is somebody who can save the day and be able to pull you out of a jam and also prevent things from going awry. So that's and we're probably preaching to the choir with our audience, but I think you should all feel proud in knowing that, and that we need to draw more attention to the value that programmers bring, and that would be a nice thing for the holidays for more programmers to be recognized, and I think that's really part of why this is existing. Any what's on your wish list?
I would say probably goes off of a podcast, the episode we've had in the past, plus also a webinar I listened to today, I would say better and equal pay for our programmers. We do know that programming, we talked about the value there, the pay, the costs there, but also I know there's a gap between us programmers alone of that pay range. And to bring that to a level playing field, especially for the underrepresented members of our community, I think would be my main wish list, is making sure everyone's paid properly.
I I don't think anybody would disagree with that, and I'm sure that that would be another great endorsement. And when we did talk about that in our past episode, we talked about some ways that programmers could demonstrate their value and to be able to justify getting paid better. I it's hard a little bit for me to know what that looks like because I'm in a little bit of an isolated situation because I only have programmers and that they're my what I value the most because my company couldn't exist without it. But I can understand that in many organizations, programmer is just another cog in the machine and doesn't always get compensated as much as a salesperson or a project manager or an engineer or somebody who feels like they're doing more of a tangible role. And that's depends on the situation, but I would encourage programmers to find that place where they can be highlighted better. And I think in those cases they probably would be able to get the higher compensation. But I think it goes along with getting the recognition, like we talked about.
Yep.
I think from my perspective, we were just talking about on our team, just giving programmers the right tools that they need to succeed. You know, having a modern, up to date computer laptop that is going to be state of the art, because quite honestly that's your number one tool, having a good setup to be able to work on multiple displays, having those things that are going to make you more productive and make you comfortable, I think is also would be on a wish list for a lot of programmers. Maybe a quiet environment, someplace where they could work and concentrate and do their job well. And but having those tools that you need to survive and to thrive, honestly, I think would be on a lot of programmers' wish list.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be great. And going on to that topic of having the right tools, uh, I would add easy accessibility or quick references to manufacturers' APIs and or code to control things. I know I kind of wrote about this in my latest higher ed article, the IT and AV column, about my December article about the wish list items, and having a website where we can actually find what we're looking for, find that documentation or find that API code to say this is how you communicate with our devices is valuable, I would say, for any programmer.
But believe it or not, it's so much better than it used to be. And I'm sure you know this.
Yeah.
It I'll date myself, but I can go back to the time where we used to have to keep those records on paper. So so that's it's far better than it used to be. And manufacturers used to not freely provide that information. But I agree with you. And quite honestly, I'm glad you say that because that's something that I personally, my team focuses on, is helping other programmers make programming easier with modules and drivers and so forth. But I don't disagree. What I see online is a lot of informal exchange of information, and obviously there needs to be care taken to make sure that nobody is improperly represented or bashed, or that the information provided is accurate, but being able to easily get what you need to be able to do your job and know that something is going to work is highly critical. That's for sure.
Sorry about
Um,
that. I agree.
I I I think a lot of times we tend to think that everything is so easy, and it's not. It's easy when you have what you need and all the pieces fit together, but when you don't, and you don't know how to solve your problem, or something isn't working the way you expect, that's when it isn't so easy, and you really have to be resourceful, and there isn't that many places to turn. So I think there's certainly a value to having a resource and common place to get information.
I agree. And definitely having all the resources where we're not hunting for them would make us programmers time more, what's the word I'm looking, efficient,
Mhm.
and allow us to actually s- put the proper time into developing the right code instead of sitting there hunting for what we need to do things.
It's worth teasing that out a little bit, because I mean I really like that, because it's actually speaks to what my company does. But the spending your time writing the code that needs to happen for your particular situation, your client, your need, your system, is really where the time should be spent doing programming, not necessarily getting a device to communicate and work. Should get covered, because but by a module or a driver or plugin that is universally used, instead of having to that part of it doesn't usually get budgeted into a project. Usually you take that for granted.
Yep, I agree. That's one of the aspect that is overlooked in the budgeting, the costing, and not just my monetarily, but you even budget for the time, saying how long the code or programmer should be working on the project.
I think another item that I would put on a wish list would be to give programmers more of a voice in the industry, and we try to do this, and there's other groups that are trying to, but programmers a lot of times do not get factored into the conversation. When you think about the players in an industry, it's always the the big names and the big faces, but not necessarily the little guys that are programmers, that um, are key components, but are not really looked upon as being given a voice and being given a presence in the industry.
Oh, I agree. There's a lot of wise, smart people out there who are programmers who have information to share. And so I challenge or I'm putting a call to action out to our listeners is if you want your voice out there, you have a platform right here. Reach out to Steve or I. We'll get you on. Let's hear your voice because I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing us talk. I mean, I know I'm tired of hearing myself talk. So I want to hear what our listeners have to say, and we'll be that platform. We'll get you out there and let you get your voice out there.
I like that a lot, actually. Just recently had a similar conversation, and there aren't enough programmers are who have their voice heard. So I agree that probably a good, that's our gift to you for the holidays. And and we want you to know that we have your back, but we also want to give you an opportunity to shine. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be on the show. If you want to be a guest, we're more than happy to have you. You could also submit feedback. You could send us questions. You can give us a show topic. You can we're more than happy to include you in whatever way you want to be heard. And you can also use this as a way to maybe write an article that says you agree, disagree, or you want to add to something that we discussed, and we'd be glad to share and promote that. So that's a great way to wrap this one up, I think, and I hope that everybody in our audience gets what they're looking for, and that their wishes are fulfilled. But we want to be there for you, and we wish you the happiest of holidays. James, how can people get in touch with you and learn more about what you're up to, and get themselves on our show?
Oh, easiest way is on Twitter, AV_James King. I am on LinkedIn. I'm trying to use it a little more, but I just haven't really taken foothold there. But I'm on there as well. But Twitter is the biggest part for me.
And for me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on most social platforms, including LinkedIn. I enjoy LinkedIn and Twitter for different applications, but you could also reach me at my company website at controlconcepts.net. And you can do a little bit of reading in several publications. And I mentioned the State of Control on avnation.tv. We just recorded our 100th episode, so check that out if you like what we have to say here. A little bit of a different format, but similar content and similar guests. So check that out. And but please let us know what you think. This is we're closing in on ending our second year of recording this, and our 100th episode is on the way from Ask the Programmer. So we've been at this for some time, and we'd like to make sure that your needs are being met. So please do us the favor and give us the gift of your feedback. So thanks, everybody. This has been Ask the Programmer.